live. Penny and Thomas here on the BIP sofa is Melanie Atwater. And today we're going to be talking, actually quite interestingly here, often we bring business to business conversations here, but we're really talking about B2C, business to consumer. And every single one of you listening to this, whether you're watching us live or listening as you're walking your dog later on or in the car, this is relevant to us all, because we all need, as Maslow says, the safety of a house. It's our number one need, is our need to have shelter. And today we're talking to Melanie Atwater, who's an expert in helping you buy and sell your house, and is an independent estate agent. Absolutely fantastic lady that I have known for about 10 years, extremely passionate about this subject, gives an absolutely incredible personal service, and we are very proud to say that she is one of our BIP 100 members. And I'm just going to say very quickly what that means. So many of you will know that Thomas and I stand for community and the importance of people being inside a community so that they can support each other and grow. And we run a business community called BIP 100. And these are 100 experts in their field that we spend a lot of time interviewing, and we spend a lot of time making sure that we've got the diversity of expertise within BIP 100 so they can enjoy each other and, in a way, create a marketplace for them, as well as helping them to learn and grow together. And so it's with huge pleasure that we twice a month run this podcast with our experts. And we do that because a lot of people use social media, listen to things because they're maybe tracking down a client, but actually one of the most critical things in our lives is we find good suppliers. And so it's really exciting to do a B2C conversation because house buying or house selling is relevant to us all. So stay with us for the next 30 minutes or so and enjoy this conversation, because I think this is a sort of conversation you might tune into Radio 4 and listen to these sort of conversations. Here we are talking very deeply about a subject that's in the heart of us all.
It's Radio BIP.
Radio BIP. So welcome, Melanie. I know you're in Portugal this week, and
yes.
I know that is where you love being as well.
Absolutely.
And your son is on a football camp as we
yes.
speak.
Yes.
So now we know that you do actually live in England. That is your home. And we know how passionate you are about estate agency. Tell us a little bit about your business, and then I think we're going to really go into this conversation and see how we can educate everybody on this subject a bit.
Sure. Okay. So my background is in sales and property renovation. And I started my own estate agency just before COVID, actually, having worked on the high street for estate agents there. And for me, it was a great marrying of my passion for helping people and using my experience of property renovation and house buying for people, and also my sales experience in negotiation. And for me, I see it as a real privilege, you know, buying a new home for people. It's a milestone in their life, you know, new memories going to be made. And when I hand over the keys on completion day, obviously I'm saying, you know, goodbye to the sellers who are moving on to their next chapter, but I'm welcoming people who might just had a baby or they've just got married or whatever it is to their new chapter. And to be part of that is incredibly rewarding, and I do see it as a privilege. Yes, it's hard work dealing with solicitors, and it's an emotional roller coaster because I'm on that with my clients, but I do everything I can to help them and to be part of that. In fact, just a little story. So on completion day, I get a photo book made up of all the photographs we use to sell the property to give to the seller, because there might be 10, 15, 20 years of memories that have been. And so when they can have that as a coffee table book, you know, because often those visuals do remind them. So yeah, that's a little bit about my business.
That's a beautiful touch. I love that. So I remembered, so I actually Googled this because I remember that moving house was is seen as being one of the most stressful things in life. And I thought I would tell everybody or remind everyone that the one that I saw when it was what are the five most stressful things in your life. Death of a loved one is number one. Second is divorce. And third is moving, followed by major illness or job loss. So here we are.
What about making a speech in public?
And also, often when you're moving house, it might be because of divorce. It might be because of bereavement. It might be because of debt, So sometimes, people are going through, a really hard time.
Yeah.
So
Well,
when they're moving house.
I do remember that back some time ago when Thomas and I decided to sell the house we love because we need to invest in the business that we also loved. I can remember I couldn't even be in the house when the people were looking around it. And I remember at the time, estate agents were really callous about it with me, but it was just too painful. I couldn't see somebody walk around and talk about how they were going to change it and imagine them living in my house. So this personal service that you give is really powerful, not just from the emotional support, which I think it'd be nice to get onto that a little bit, but also I'd love us to talk through really the scenarios, because there are a lot of high street estate agents, but what's fascinating is obviously you're online, you're so skilled online for doing search and marketing online. So let's have a scenario. So say I was selling a house. Say I lived in, let me choose somewhere. I lived in St Albans, which I don't live, but I live in St Albans and I want to sell a house. I'm a busy person. I haven't got a lot of time to do this, but I know I've got to sell for the reasons you might say. I might be divorced, might have lost my job, might be in debt, I might be finding this cost of living crisis really clamping down on me. Tell me what happens. They find you online, do they? They do a search. Where would they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, social media, and I always recommend get a local agent, because you're not just selling the bricks and mortar, you're selling the lifestyle, you're selling what good schools are out down there, how easy it is to get into the city if you're commuting, what's the neighborhood like, what's the lifestyle, where are the health clubs. So always have a local agent. Now I am always available to give advice to anybody in the country and further afield. I have been asked to sell houses on the Isle of Wight and different whatever, but always try and stay local, because your local agent will, one, know the market, so what's happening with prices, and regardless of all the news you see on the television, it's always localized, so the property market is always localized. So get a local agent who really knows, because they're selling the lifestyle, and get somebody who's passionate. When they walk in your front door, we always get a first impression of somebody. Do you trust them? And when you're showing them around the house, do they have a vision of what somebody may use the house for? And I know you said, one thing is, you said you wouldn't want, the emotional thing of someone looking around your house and they're going to change this. Well, when I do viewings, okay, no seller should ever do viewings for a variety of reasons, okay? And one is the reason that you just said. You're emotionally attached and you don't want to hear them. They want to knock the walls down and that kind of thing. But the buyer will feel more comfortable going around the house, so talking things through while they're there, rather than when they get home going, oh, we could do this or we could do that. But also the estate agent is there to sell that house, to say, well, have you seen properties locally? Is this a specific area you're looking for? If this isn't the house for you, then let us find something else. So when I do a viewing, then it's about engaging with that buyer, because it's a dating game. It's matching the right buyer to the right property, okay? Because the last thing you want is someone offering on a property and then pulling out a week before exchange. So my job, or a good estate agent's job, is to really make sure you've got that really great fit, okay? And certainly a year ago, when the market was super tight, the properties were selling in a day because there was low stock, people were offering on houses really because they really needed, desperate for a house. But then you'll find, they might say in 2 weeks later, oh, actually, we've offered too much and we're withdrawing the offer. So you want to avoid all of that. So
how do you profile a buyer?
Your agent, always ask your estate agent. Sorry?
How do you profile a buyer as serious then, Melanie?
Questioning and engaging. So all my buyers, unless I get new ones on a daily basis, are on my phone. I've met them at viewings. I know exactly what they're looking for. So when I go to an evaluation, or I say an advice meeting, I'm there to give advice, not just value their house. That's very, very narrow. I'm there just to say, well, why am I here and how can I help you? Okay. It might be that actually you don't need to move. If you're thinking of moving because you want your elderly parents to come and live with you, then how have you thought about reconfiguring the garage and that kind of thing? Save on stamp duty, and they can come and live in the home you are. So I'm there to just give the best advice possible. So yeah, I mean, it's all about engagement, asking open questions and knowing your buyers. And that's why I do all the viewings. Okay. And with no disregard or disrespect to, people in their early 20s, I've got life experience. I've bought and sold several houses. I'm an estate agent. And so when I'm talking to buyers walking around the property, would this work for you? Trying to find out about their lifestyle. Are you commuting to London 3 days a week? Is that likely to change? So it's about engagement, and it always comes down to communication, So
No, it's
did that answer your
classic.
question?
Qualifying your client. I mean, it's classic, isn't it? Asking loads and loads of questions to save everybody time. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I want to look after my sellers, but I also equally want to look after those buyers, and those buyers might even become a seller with me, if they need my help as well. So
who's more important, the seller or the buyer?
My client is the seller for sure, but you want to make sure you're making a good match with the buyer, because then you're looking after your seller. It's a dating game. It really is. It's a matchmaking service.
Mm. And what if I was wanting to buy a house? Say I'd come back, I was an expat coming into the country, or I've been living with my parents and whatever, and I haven't got something to sell, but I'm really wanting to buy one. I haven't got time to hunt down, because that's a huge job. We know that, all of us, anybody that's hunted down a house, it's a huge job to look for a house. Do you help people to find the right house as well?
Completely. So for example, one property last year, I did 22 viewings on one Saturday for clients from 9 in the morning till 6:30 at night, which you won't find many estate agents will do that.
On one house?
No,
for
one house from 9 in the
buyer.
morning till 6:30. I collapsed in a heap at 6:30 with my sellers who came back wanting to get back into their house with their 2 dogs and kids.
Wow, you drove 22 people
Saturday.
around one house?
Well, there was more than 22. That's 22 viewings. So often they were like, husband, wife, and child, whatever. Because I want to get the best sales price for my clients. So I will work really hard and not say, oh no, we're fully booked. That's not going to serve anybody. So I did 22 viewings on the Saturday, negotiated on the Sunday. On the Monday, we had a sale agreed. And my clients were like, Melanie, we need you to find us a house. And this was in a market, obviously last year, low stock. So I have access to a database, and I can say, you tell me, and I told them, I said, tell me your 3 roads, because they were moving locally. They gave me the 3 roads they were looking for. And I've got access to a database, so I can say, right, let's look at this postcode within a 1/4 mile radius. Let's look at people who haven't moved in the last 7 years. So if they've been in the house 7 years plus, they're more likely to be primed for selling because they've had another child, change of, job or whatever it might be. Kids are getting older, so they need to upsize, or the kids have left home and they need to downsize. So if they haven't moved in 7 years plus, then they're more likely to consider selling. And then let's look at the kind of target price that we're looking at. You want a minimum of 3 bed. And boom, it will show me all the properties. And I go, look, it's brought up 50 properties that I can send a letter to, not a letter saying we've got buyers looking in your area. Say, I've got, Mark and Alison, they're now under offer. They've asked me to target your road in particular because their child is going to the school around the corner. This is their situation. If you've been having conversations about moving, then would you entertain a conversation with me to give you advice? And just like I'm doing for them, I can do for you. Because one of the main objections of people moving houses, but where are we going to move to? So that just keeps the whole thing going. So I found them their dream house, and they haven't moved in yet, but we're working on it. But yes, for sure. So I offer a search and secure service. And it's, if I had £1 for everybody who I went to see who said, well, yeah, we've been thinking of selling, but we haven't found anywhere to go to yet. And I'm like, yeah, but everybody in the same, nobody wants to move unless they've found somewhere to go to. Yes, you're special, but you're not, that's not extraordinary. Everybody wants to move for a reason. And until they've found somewhere they're happy with, I would never want anyone to move when they haven't found somewhere they're really looking forward to moving to. It's all part and parcel.
And
So
then you
yes, I
don't
offer
get
that whole service.
the thing is, then the stock isn't on the market because you never really.
Yeah, no one's going anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's really, really fascinating, because obviously any of us house buyers would get things from estate agents dropped through the door.
So
But
what I
it's the
say,
marketing leaflet saying we've got somebody interested in houses on this road, but nothing. I love the personalization of that. That's really clever because
well,
it's genuine.
I mean, yeah, and again, it comes back to communication. So for example, I sold a house last year, June it was. Met the people before COVID. I went for an initial meeting and they were looking for a specific type of house, a modern house, specific kind of design. And they said, well, we're not ready yet, but we'll keep in touch. Anyway, they called me on a Wednesday and said, right, Melanie, we found a house and we want to put an offer in. Can you sell a house? I'm like, okay, right. So they signed the contract with me on the Thursday, and they said, the thing is, we found this place, but it's an office. It's a Victorian property, but it's been converted into offices. So it's going to take us 9 months to redo it and everything. So we need somebody who can wait. And because I engage with my buyers and that kind of thing, I said, I've got just the person who's looking in your area, and I know for sure that they would wait. Could I do a one-off viewing on Saturday with this person? And they went, okay, sounds too good to be true, but yes. So I called Rex and I said, Rex, I think I've got a house for you, but can you email me and confirm that you can indeed wait for 9 months? Because on that premise, I can get you into a one-off viewing on Saturday and I can secure it for you. And so he emailed me as per conversation, yes, we can wait, because I didn't want any pressure on my clients. Yes, we can wait for 9 months. And this was in the October, the previous year. Came round for the viewing on the Saturday. I could see it all over their face. They were like, yeah, this is it. So negotiated in the garden. My clients wanted 950. I got them to secure it at 1 million on the basis that they would wait for 9 months. They waited for 9 months and moved in June. So people will wait. It's all about making sure everyone's on the same page, So if I come to your house and you go, oh gosh, we haven't found, we're worried about finding somewhere. I say, so that's my job. My job is to relay that to the buyers and say, look, they haven't found yet. I'm helping them look. This could be a month. It could be 3 months. It could be 6 months. But that's where we are. And if you're happy to wait, then great. If not, let's try and find you something else. So it's just about being clear and everybody being on the same page.
Your buyers and sellers must love you, Melanie.
Yeah, they must absolutely love you. And do you do this anywhere? I know we've passed some referrals to you, like somebody was way up in Cambridge and everything. You can do this anywhere.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, so I always say, you can break down estate agency. And one thing for me is I think that sadly, estate agents have lost the perception of professionalism. You go to an architect because they are expert in this field. You go to an accountant because they can do all the numbers and they know what they're doing. And unfortunately, in the industry, estate agents are no longer seen as an expert. Okay, but a good estate agent is you can break it down in 2 brackets: marketing and negotiation. And within the marketing, there's staging the property. I like to think, and I stole this off a wonderful business coach, I think Royston Guest, and everything you do, it should be deliberate and conscious. So we choose a sunny day to do the photographs. I will do twilight shots because something that a twilight shot does is it looks like a home, cozy at night, and that you're buying a home, not a house. And so on Rightmove, a twilight shot will engage with the emotions and it looks all cozy. You can imagine your family living there. So the attention to detail in marketing, and for example, social media is super important these days. Social media, a bit like a for sale board outside your house, gets passive buyers. And there's a lot of passive buyers out in the market right now. The reason being, and a passive buyer is somebody who is not actively looking on Rightmove, or they're not set up on alerts. They've kind of given up. Interest rates are going through the roof, cost of living crisis. We're not looking for a house right now. But then they're driving to take their kid to school and the house has just come on the market. Okay. And so, for example, last year I sold a property that had been on the market for 9 months with 2 previous agents and hadn't sold. And there was the headline photograph. I'm just trying to see if I've got it here. The headline photograph was a bungalow. And obviously a lot of people, a bit like on the dating, they swipe left. No, we don't want a bungalow, can't stand the things. And I posted this. So I got this because the lady hadn't had any success. So the front of the building was a bungalow. The headline shot I used for Rightmove, and I don't know whether you'll see it, is
Yeah, we
that.
can see it.
That is
Well,
the same
if anybody's
property.
listening back, so I've got to describe this because if people are listening back on one of the podcast channels, this is a beautiful, it actually looks like something from Portugal. So at the back, it's 2 layers with steps going up, beautiful lighting, a beautiful table and chairs outside, lovely wicker furniture. It looks stunning. So that was the back of the bungalow.
That was the back of the house.
Amazing.
Whereas what the previous agents had used is the I'm just trying to get it up, but is the just the bungalow. So people would just swipe left.
Absolutely.
So I put this on social media, okay, and on Facebook, a couple who were getting married and they were putting off buying a house until they'd had honeymoon and He saw it, Adam saw it, and he tagged his wife to be and said, oh, this looks perfect for us. So I messaged him on Messenger and said, hi, do you want to have a viewing? And this is like 8 o'clock at night, so this is all about availability as well. Your personal estate agent, it isn't 5:30, people are mostly available when they leave work, so be available outside of hours, okay? So then you're going to get the buyers. And also sellers are going to be able to talk you through any concerns or whatever. So anyway, so they came to see it the next day. Sold. Okay. And they were delighted. I was there obviously on completion day with flowers, champagne, new chapter. It was a blended family. They were coming together, having both been separated from previous relationships. Kids loved it. And just awesome. But it'd been in the market for 9 months with 2 previous, and that's marketing. So within marketing, it's so many things. It's being proactive, and who's going to buy this house? Get in front of those people. So social media is really important to get passive buyers, people who are not necessarily looking right now, and that is a big part of the market.
And where is that on a page? So have a page on.
There's all the market. There's loads of things in marketing. I can talk for hours, and then there's negotiation. Get somebody who's a skilled negotiator who really wants who will get the best price for your house from the most solid buyer who's not going to pull out.
Yeah. So if I'm somebody listening to this now and I'm thinking, I really like the sound of Melanie and I am passively looking, what would they go to? Would they go to a page? Do you have a Facebook page, or do they search your name?
Yeah, I've got, we can put a link in, Melanie Atwater, independent estate agent on Facebook. Right. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and I'm also on LinkedIn, Melanie Atwater. Right. I would love to give advice. I can give generic advice. I would always say, go to your local agent. I do work with agents all over the country, so I can always help recommend. So just message me, and if I can help, I can help.
Let me spell that for anybody, because if you're watching this, you'll be able to see Melanie's name there. So it's Melanie, you probably know how to spell Melanie, but it's Atwater, A-T-T, water, all one word. So look at Melanie up on Instagram and Facebook. And I find this really fascinating because it is, I'm really interested in this local thing as well, because I think you're right. You watch BBC News or whatever, and they talk all about the housing market. You read the Evening Standard, they're talking about the London market. So what do you really feel this sort of cost of living crisis and property prices vary hugely how much is being impacted? Is that depending on where they are? Like we live in Farnham in Surrey, and we're always being told that that's fairly immune to house prices reducing, although we have noticed they are starting to reduce. So what would you say about the local market?
Okay, so there's always a 3-month lag. So the way you find out about what's really happening in the market is when looking at sold prices, and it takes 3 months for sold to hit land registry. So we're always 3 months behind. Oh, right. So the latest figures we've got is that November house prices went down by 2.3%, but that is national. It is very local. I'm in Surrey as well. I'm in Caterham. We're still seeing people come out of London because they need to be in the office 3 days a week, and they're looking for that greener lifestyle that we're still getting from after COVID, where people want to be outside, you know, because they don't want to be hemmed in the house. They want outside space. So there is still a lot of demand in my area from people moving out of London. Okay, so yes, mortgage rates have gone up. Okay, all I would say is that for people who, if you're selling, then obviously you might sell at a lower price, but especially if you're upsizing, you're going to buy at a lower price as well. Okay, so that kind of evens it out, should we say, all offset. And again, if you get an agent who can help with your negotiation, which your agent should do, because your agent should be liaising with the person who you're buying your next home from to keep them up to date with chain details and where you're at in the process and keep it all together, which is really important. Communication again. So, yeah, you know, a good estate agent might be able to get you a saving of 20, 30 grand off your onward purchase using their negotiation skills. So yes, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there. Yes, it has impacted the market. But when you move house, you know, unless you're moving for an investment and you're going to sell in 2 years, different story. But if you're moving because you want a bigger house for you and the kids, and you're going to be there 7 years plus, if it means you're going to have 7 years of waking up thinking, oh gosh, it's so great to be in this house, and every day that's improved your quality of life, you know, money isn't everything, you know, and you may be prepared to take a bit of a hit because actually what it's giving you is that quality of life, but for the next 7, 15 years.
So let me understand a little bit about the business model. If it's not getting, I mean, you don't have to give me real details, but so if somebody wanted to hire you, it's almost, I'm feeling like if, you know, if Thomas and I were going out to buy a house, it is so astoundingly depressing walking into houses that just were never right for you. It's time consuming, it's demoralizing, it's embarrassing because you're using up the estate agent's time. They ring you and they say, no, beep, got it wrong again. So to me, it's like hiring a housing coach, because not only are you helping save time, but there's also seems to be a lot of emotional support that you're giving around this. So if somebody was doing the search and secure, was it search and secure you called
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
You charge a fee for that, do you? Is that a one-off fee? How do you charge your fee on that?
Yeah, so for somebody that I'm selling their home, okay, I include that in what I'm doing as part of my service. Okay. If I'm just doing a search secure of somebody who is either they're not selling a property or they're selling with another agent, then I'd always suggest that see if their current agents can do it, because it's always best keeping it all in one communication, because that agent's going to have to, they're selling your home, they're going to have to keep the onward purchase agent up to date with things. But yeah, so I charge a fee if I'm just doing, and so for example, I found a doctor a house in Cambridge a couple of years ago, and the Cambridge market was crazy right then. I mean, houses literally were selling within 12 hours. So I found a house for him, so I charged him a fee. So it depends on what value property they're looking for, how motivated they are, and that kind of thing. So, but again, people can message me and just ask me for advice.
Yeah. And when you said you say to them, okay, you want to sell your house and I want to help you and, you know, make sure that the pictures are right and the marketing and give you that support, but you say to them, still register with a local estate agent. Are they paying the local estate agent fees and then obviously a little bit on top for your extra help?
I'm happy to give advice. Okay. I mean, for example, on a property that I'm selling, I had a buyer come round. They said, we're really struggling with our current agent. I said, well, send me a link to your property. And I said, well, first of all, lead image, you need to be using the back of the house with beautiful extension, looking onto the garden, change that image. Okay. The pricing strategy is all wrong. It should be within the right move brackets to get as much interest. Change the pricing structure. And funnily enough, I looked on it this morning and they changed the lead photograph. So they had actually listened to the advice that I'd given, which is not always the case. So I can, you know, I work with agents nationwide, so I can always refer to somebody who I recommend and I know is, you know, has got that energy and passion and service that I like to think I give. So I can help them find someone local.
That's really good.
but
And
I can help people as well, so directly.
yeah,
When you
and
do
the
a
other thing,
search, when
sorry,
you do
sorry.
a search and secure, is that a monthly fee they pay, or is it a percentage of the price of the place they're buying?
Correct. Yes,
It's
a percentage of the price of the property they're buying. Yes.
Oh,
And
I
it's,
see.
you know, they do it in Australia, they do it in the US.
Yeah. I think it makes
It
so
is
much
becoming
sense.
more known here.
I think it makes so much sense because the time,
Absolutely.
emotional
Yeah.
energy that you use doing it is. And then the last thing I
Completely.
thought I would talk about is that I love the fact, because Thomas and I, our expertise is not in house design. And I'm sure a lot of people, you know, we've got some friends that are phenomenal. And we walk into the houses, they buy them as wrecks, and then we look at what they've done and we think, how did they have the foresight? What I loved is you
We
said that
see
when
that a
you show,
lot.
we do, when you show people around, you seem to have that house design foresight where you say, look, you could knock this wall down, you could extend this, you could use the garage. Is that something that is you're particularly good at? Do you love that?
Well, every estate agent should be, you know, you should be a property expert, you know?
Yeah.
You're giving advice on people to people. So it's all part and parcel of,
Yeah.
of what I do. It's having that expert service and knowing your stuff and being able to advise people, you know, just
Yeah,
like
that's
if as an
very good.
accountant, you know, how to
I
save
don't
money.
think,
Well, this is
having experienced a lot of estate agents in our 32 years of marriage, I don't think there are many that do what you're talking about. I mean,
I don't think so either.
Oh my goodness. I mean, we give a
Just on the
spec.
transaction, not the
It's
service.
just, you give a spec to them and you end up at a house and you think, how did they ever think that this was right for us against that spec?
I've been there. I've been there. I've gone in, had an hour, said I want a Victorian house on a quiet road, and they send me a bungalow on a main road. You know, I've been there, I've done it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, it's really fantastic, Melanie, and very uplifting, very, very uplifting. And yeah, Thomas and I are really by your side with this. We really believe in what you're doing and love the fact that you're part of our community. And yeah, thank you for how much you've shared as well. And what really your integrity it really oozes through. And so this offer of people just being able to contact you for advice without any sort of major obligation is really kind. I just want to, as we go to the top of the show, I want to just reiterate how you can get hold of Melanie. So you can find Melanie Attwater, ATT Water, all one word, on LinkedIn. She's got a Facebook page. She's got an Instagram. So, and of course, you can contact Thomas and I if you want us to connect you to her. But, you know, all power to your elbow, as my father would say. Absolutely love this. You know, going in your own way to provide the service to people who are emotionally vibed. You know, this is huge for them.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody that's not busy. And to be able to work with you to help them save time and get it right is just tremendous. So thank you, Melanie. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
And it's been lovely to talk to you.
Thanks, Melanie. Brilliant.
Oh, yeah, thanks.